Okay. It is 6 o'clock. Whoops. It is 6 o'clock and it is time to call the May 25th meeting of the Wenatchee School Board to order. And I would ask that you would stand and join us in the pledge of allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Super, thank you. First item on our agenda is our consent agenda. And I understand that there's been a request to remove item F, which is resolution 02.21, the academic and student well-being recovery plan. So we are removing that from the consent agenda and discussing that as a separate item. Okay. So that said, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Second.
Super. It's moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. So next we have a discussion of resolution 02.
We have Asb.
Oh, we're moving that after?
Oh, yeah, I apologize. I apologize. I thought we were putting down to action, but you're good. You're good.
We can do it.
No, you're spot on.
Whatever
spot
the
on.
board wants to do.
You're spot on. My bad. I'm just looking.
Don't forget.
Yes. I'm
Okay,
just staring
We
at
don't
the
have any
agenda.
other action items, so.
yeah. So who is taking the lead on this discussion or presentation?
I'll kick us off. So this is the academic and student well-being recovery plan resolution that is required by the OSPI, and from a bigger perspective, it is about bringing all of our students back to full-time in-person learning in the fall, and making sure that all of our students have the necessary support structures in place. If the board would, harken back to March, I think it was 3rd, when we really went over kind of where we're at, what we're doing, and our steps forward. That we are fully prepared to be open full-time instruction, first day of school, pre-K 12. So we also, part of the resolution is that we also have to have an option for parents and students if they want an online version. And the Wenatchee Internet Academy will continue to fulfill that need for our school district. The document in front of you that we had to, it's really just a fill in the blank. It's a yes, no document that you saw, board, really just affirming to the state that we are going to be hitting all of these different areas, making sure that we're addressing any areas of weakness for our students, any areas of struggle, making sure that we have a plan for that in place. And it starts with our summer school plan. Currently, we have over 550 students who are registered for our summer program, which is almost 2 times the amount of students who we generally get in our summer program. So we're excited about that. We're also excited that we've been filling our staff positions for that, because we did have some concerns, but between all of our communication that we've been doing on our jobs, we feel very confident that we will be able to fill every position and be able to move forward with our plans. Also within that plan are opportunities for making sure that we're looking at our different groups of students and how they're performing, and making sure that we recognize that data. And again, I want to go back to that March. I want to say it was the 3rd meeting. It was a workshop. Don't quote me on that date. But where we truly highlighted our different ethnic groups, our Latino versus white students in reading and mathematics. We highlighted those areas. And then Mike and others really spoke about plans moving forward. How are we doing this work in the area of our literacy, which I'm proud of where we're at, continuing to make good progress there. And with the math alignment work that is currently happening within our district. that too will be bearing fruit in the very near future, like we've seen so far with our literacy work. So we are 100% in alignment with the OSPI reopening plan and resolution, and we are totally in compliance with their document that they sent out to us that the board will be hopefully approving here in the coming moments. Questions?
Will we see more of a detailed plan as far as how we as a district are implementing this?
Yes. So we really felt like that would be our first meeting in August when we're back. So we have one, we can report back on summer. What did summer school look like to the board? But most importantly, kind of that first board meeting in August gives us that opportunity to really communicate to our community one more time. We're fully open and what it looks like. We also think by then there may be additional shifts in from the seating, the cafeteria seating, making sure that that's able to be reduced a little bit because 6 feet will still always be a challenge. But we're already seeing that language is softening, which will really help us. As you know, we're eating, in our elementary schools, it is all hands on deck, inside, outside. And you all know better than I do, the weather here will not continue to be this incredible weather come October, November, December, and on forward. So that type of conversation, that's the biggest, quite honestly. And I'm not going to call it a barrier, but it's that little piece that sits there. But we do believe that we will see a reduction in that, especially with more and more people being vaccinated. If you were to look around our counties, Chelan County continues to do a great job of being highly vaccinated community, which helps us. We continue to hear, well, I think Moderna just came out that they're able to now do 12 and up as well. That will go to the FDA. And we're hearing that they are looking at from, I think it's 4 years old up to be tested to make sure that the Moderna, the Pfizer are also as efficacious as they've been proving to be with other student populations. So those two pieces will be consistently improving outcomes for everybody. As it's currently listed, masks are still going to be required in the fall. That I have not seen any change there, and I'm not hearing any whispers on that for schools. For schools, so that's a piece that we'll continue to monitor. I know I've had a couple of emails over the couple of weeks because it is confusing. So when CDC comes out and says, you don't have to, but refraining it to our schools specific, and now CDC, I think it was last 5-7 days, restated what it is for schools and where they're at on schools. So we anticipate at least the start of the school year, masks will still be required in our schools. So board?
Okay. Any comments from the board?
So we need to vote on this as an action item, right?
Yes.
So I move that the board approve the resolution and the academic and student well-being recovery plan for OSPI.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. So next we have citizen comment on our agenda, but it's my understanding that we have nobody who signed up for citizen comment this evening, correct? Okay, and we have ASB reports. Do we have ASB reports remotely today?
I believe we have Arya. Are you there, Arya? And I'm not sure. Yeah, and I see JT.
There's JT. He's super small though. There he is.
He just grew.
You guys hear me all right?
More volume.
All right. Looking good now, or?
Say it again now, JT. Let's see if we can hear you better.
All right, testing.
No, not yet.
Testing. 1, 2, 3.
Closer to his computer, closer to his mic.
Yeah, can you get closer to your mic, or are you wearing?
Sure. Is this on? Hello, testing, testing.
We're maxed out here.
We're maxed out here. So JT, can you just project with great authority?
Cool. Sure. Yeah, I can do that. All right. So in this last month, we put on prom. It wasn't quite what a normal year would be like, of course, but I think a lot of people still had a lot of fun. I know I definitely did, and a bunch of my friends did as well. Also, we are putting on Mr. Panther. However, we aren't able to do an in-person or kind of how it would normally be at all. However, we're trying to have it in some way, shape, or form this year, right? This Friday, we're planning to have a multicultural fair at the high school to celebrate the different cultures within our school. So we're really looking forward to that, as well as we're working on all of the graduation stuff for next week, not the all the activities that go on for the senior class before that. The senior class president, Lacey Wilson, has been working really hard on that. Just this morning, we actually had our senior prank, which was pretty fun. We're still working on trying to make the transfer of power as smooth as possible for next year's exec team, and that's going pretty darn well. So yeah, pretty much a shorter update today since we are coming to the end of the year. But yeah, do you guys have any questions for me?
Are we going to see you at another board meeting before the end of the year, or is this kind of it for you?
I think this is it for me.
Oh, no. Well, thank you. Thank you. We have very much appreciated your updates all through the year. You've been very informative and enthusiastic, and your participation is appreciated.
Thank you guys. I appreciate all of you and all of the leadership that you've shown in the district over these incredibly tough months.
Yeah, and you're graduating?
I am, yep.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, we'll see you on the podium.
See you there.
I'll second the thank you, and we'll definitely wave at you and your classmates on graduation day.
Okay, very good. Next we have, there's Aria, there we go.
Hi everyone. So I have a couple of updates for Westside. So our tamale feed and silent auction was a great success. We want to thank the Wenatchee Valley for their support of our school, and in turn Avery Patton. We were able to collect over $19,000 for the Patton family through this event, making it our biggest year ever. So we want to, again, thank everyone who supported us, and especially the 5 families who helped us make the tamales and got us ready to go on the day of. They were instrumental in this process, and we're just so happy to be able to lift some of the burden of the financial stress from the Patton family.
Oh, congratulations, that's awesome.
Thank you. And coming up June 3rd, from 11 to 1, we have our summer shindig. Sage Hills Church is putting on our 3rd annual party for our students. We'll have everything following local protocol, COVID guidelines. We'll have an outdoor event celebrating our seniors and our student body who's gotten through the year. We have an afternoon of activities and a taco truck and ice cream. And during this event, we will be taking a moment to remember Carrie DeMarco, who taught at Westside and passed away this past year. We've planted a tree for her on the Westside grounds, and we have a beautiful plaque made by Hagelin's Trophies that we will be putting up in her honor at some point during the event.
Nice.
And our awards assembly is on for our seniors is on Zoom, and it is live streamed for parents and community members. So we have seniors who have earned different awards throughout their years. This is June 7th, 12:30. And all of students and families are invited to join us online for this special event. And lastly, I'd like to formally invite the boards to Westside High's graduation commencement ceremony, June 8th at 7 o'clock at Westside. We're having our miniature version, but it should be wonderful, and I am excited to see you all there.
Thank you so much. And you're graduating?
Yes,
Fantastic.
I believe I will be back once more for the strategic planning committee, but this is my last for ASB.
Oh, thank you so much, Aria. You've been a wonderful representative of Westside, and we very much enjoyed having your updates at our board meetings. Thank you so much. Yeah, and we'll see you at graduation. Okay, thank you.
And I'll say the same, seconded, and we'll all wave at you.
Okay, have we got anybody from the tech center, or is that it for our ASB reports today?
I believe that is it for our ASB reports for tonight.
Okay, super. Next, we have policy updates, first read.
All right, I'll take first crack and then have Michelle and Maria jump in. So we had a number of policies within the mastery-based credit policies. So originally, this really encompasses world languages when it first came out, and really they've done a nice job in the recent years under House Bill 1599, trying to establish more opportunities and removing barriers and different opportunities that would increase the use of mastery-based learning throughout Washington. So we've taken the initial stab at this work. Really, some of the big things we're having the conversation around the mastery-based, how we've engaged in it currently. We had Eric Anderson, Dr. Corey Kalahar, and Jake, literally name just left my head. Buholtz, thank you. Who come to the policy committee, really do a really thorough have a thorough conversation with the committee members around this work. Part of it was also about defining the amount of credit available to be recovered and having good conversations on those. So when you look at those policies, you're going to see a lot of that. You're going to see a lot of the different 1.0. There's a couple that up to 2.0 within these different areas, but you will see it's expanded way beyond just world languages. You're going to see from English to math to different areas there. But that was a very robust conversation that the committee had. Michelle, Maria, anything else that you would add on those 2402 to 2409?
So, Martin's had some questions earlier that I think everybody probably saw. So the policies are pretty straightforward, but the kind of the meat of it is really in the procedures. So, and maybe Martin, you can just kind of share, since the public didn't see your questions, they got sent to the board. So,
I'll go ahead. When we're talking about establishing mastery, I want to be sure that we have good standards for the assessment that were externally controlled and validated. And that to me is very, very important. And I think I got the reply that we use external institutions like STAMP, and we're internally relying on curriculum control through our learning committees. And I felt fairly comfortable that established that. And I think the policies are very clear and very wordy. I think that we need to do quite a lot of work on the procedures, making sure that we make it functional. And at that point, I'll hand it back to Michelle.
thank you, Martin. Yeah, I think it would, since the procedure is in the staff's wheelhouse, I think it would make sense that our district personnel really kind of take a look to see, rather than having generalized assessments, since we have the different areas of study broken down, that would be really helpful. And others can certainly chime in, but I would like to see that beefed up a little bit. And additionally, when these policies were sent to the board, they were a PDF, but there is a mastery-based credit list, which all of you have a hard copy in front of you. So that will be embedded in that procedure for, students and families to be able to see, oh, I want to take this class. Is there an equivalency credit or equivalency exam and such? So, so I think that is helpful. It was missing when I looked at the actual document that Kim sent to us. So she reassured me that the link will be working, but she did print this off for us so we can see it's quite a lengthy list that covers both WHS and West Side. Not that both institutions offer all those classes, but it's a cumulative list. So that's all I wanted to say about those particular policies and procedures. Maureen, did you have anything?
Not much to add, just that Jake, Eric, and Dr. Colomar did a really good job at explaining in detail the policies. We spent quite a bit of time discussing them in detail. And for me, especially having to, understand, I think we hear a lot about the STAMP test for world languages, but having a list actually, I was actually kind of surprised to see how many we actually have in the district. So I'm pleased to see this list will be attached to the policies or to procedures. And no, I don't have any further questions.
Okay. We'll move on to 2413. And if the board saw it, there is a lot of red, meaning it was almost a whole rewrite of that policy from WSD. And it's in just much better shape than it was previously. So the team supported those changes as well. Michelle, Maria, anything else that you would add on to that equivalency-based opportunities?
I think it was just straight from WSD.
Yep.
Correct. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. There was we had no additions. So pretty straightforward on that one as well. And then 3211, gender inclusive schools, which was an essential policy. And this follows the procedure that was adopted I'm looking down, December 2019. But again, this is directly from WSD, following along with trying to find the House Bill or Senate Bill 5689. Again, around the harassment, intimidation, bullying, and transgender discrimination. So very much specific to the gender making sure it's gender inclusive. Again, no changes by our committee. This is WSD sent and WSD recommended to the board.
And it's an essential
Correct.
policy. Correct.
Okay. So these policies are on our agenda for first reading, and if the board has any questions or comments between now and the next meeting, these should be on the consent agenda in our subsequent meeting unless there's some need to pull out anything and discuss further. So moving along, wow. What happened to the agenda? We're now at board communication. Are there any board members that have communications to share with the rest of us?
I'll share. I believe, and Laura, you can chime in, and Paula, you can chime in. Some of us went to the online equity conference last week. That was 2 half days. Phenomenal information. I think I only missed one of the last topics of the day on the second day, but I was truly blown away. They had Indigenous topics and history and co-design of working with your community. They had a student panel that was phenomenal. I mean, it truly was just amazing. So and I believe that all their items are going to be online. I got an email today.
Yep.
So I would love to have a workshop. I don't know if anybody had a favorite one, but it's hard for me to pick a favorite, but I would love to hear Laura's and Paul's thoughts as well. So it was a fantastic online conference. We didn't have to go anywhere. I love that. So
It was hard to sit still for such a long period of time. And so I was glad to see that the announcement came out today that it would be available for recording, because it provides the opportunity. I know that I have a lot of understanding to increase and learning to have. So I'm thankful for every opportunity. It's going to be a slow drip for me, I think, before I finally get the whole context, but I loved it.
Yeah, I would concur. The student one, student voice, as we just spoke about a couple of weeks ago, continues just to be such an important part of our district. And it's kind of that emerging piece from our district, but it was great to see that was highlighted within this conference. But the keynote speakers were phenomenal, engaging throughout the entire conversation. Just writing notes, just trying to really, again, trying to embrace a lot of the conversation, a lot of the messages, and trying to be reflective on our current practices and where we're at. And that was the value that I took from it. It's trying to gauge where are we at in different areas and how do we progress forward, because no one is perfect in this area. But there are a lot of people who have been down this journey. So it's not like we have to figure it out all by ourselves. So that was the power of it, of community. And that's what I liked about this, was that community sense.
So just to tag on to that student piece, I know we've had a number of students speak on public comment this year, and I'm really quite excited that our students have not just found their voice, but they are using their voice in public comment. So AWSL is the Association of Washington Student Leaders, which this panel of students all belong to. I would really love for our district to engage with AWSL and have that as an opportunity for, at a minimum, our high school students, but they also offer it for younger students, like middle school students. I think having that opportunity, some students are drawn to ASB, and that is great, but you know, it is kind of an equal playing ground. It allows kind of everybody to get engaged, whether they've got 5 curriculars over here, or they have top grades, or they don't. There's a lot to be said for welcoming all those students, and the students said that themselves. So I would love to see us explore that as a district to kind of build up to eventually having student representation on the board. But AWSL, it seemed like it was a rather powerful, maybe powerful is not, a passionate organization for students to be able to share their voice and to learn how to work with large groups and policies and things like that. So I think it would be a wonderful place for training for our students who are interested in that kind of role. So
yeah, I agree.
Okay. The other board members?
I do, actually. This is the time of year when us board members can have a lot of fun going to student celebrations and seeing their tremendous accomplishments and their demonstrations of high character and accomplishments. And the 2 I was lucky enough to join last week were the FFA gathering on Saturday, and on Monday, the Avid Senior Celebration. Different endeavors in different fields, both of them extraordinarily impressive. And as we sit on the board and we look at the people of the future, we need to and do recognize how inspirational they are. And Westside on the 7th, I guess we can be blown out again by the awards ceremony there. I also attended a couple of sessions of the State Advisory Committee on Migrant Education. One of them focused on how to learn about, for parents and students, how to connect to and how to make good use of the available services in the high school and beyond program. It can be a closed box that people can't see inside. You've got to remember that. One thing is that if that box is open, they can discover how to introduce your child to the advantages that are offered. And those advantages and that access begins right at the beginning of K-12 education. It's not something happening in the last 24 months of high school. Ironically and happily, that same week on the Wenatchee High School campus, I heard CTE teachers talk about the need to increase awareness of the incredible range. I was super amazed and impressed at very high achievement, high talent areas of classes available in CTE. And what they were talking about is they've got to get the word out, and they were planning very enthusiastically into the middle school. So the upcoming 6th and 8th graders know that they can do much more than they would have thought of before. I have not been going to the same WSD equity conferences, and I've almost deliberately been trying to get my input from a different perspective. So related to the values that we talk about with equity and strategic planning in which we're currently engaged, I want to talk about the part of equity that isn't so much emphasized. It's the other value. Investment in education is about making efficient use of the talents of all of the individual students of all backgrounds. We, the world, cannot afford to lose the gains that disadvantaged students offer. And you see this over and over again if you read the economic studies of the world, not just in the United States, but everywhere, and in the last 50 years of our history. We cannot afford to lose the gains that those students offer. The benefits are economic and social. They're public. The whole community benefits from that investment in education. And they're private and earned by the individual who worked hard to achieve them. So the message I wanted to do, the other part of equity is efficient. The results can be and have been measured. It's a hard-nosed goal.
Thank you, Martin. Anyone else? I just have one thing. Martin and I did visit the snow ski and snowboard building trailer, whenever that was, a week or so ago. Saw a few students who led us through the process of what it takes to design and build a ski. And they're opening up a program where they'll be partnering with folks in the public to custom build skis for individuals, which is so cool. And it was a thrill. I think it was a thrill to be there and to see that they were doing something that was so relevant and contemporary and meaningful. So enjoyed that very much.
And since we're ahead of schedule, Laura and I had the joy of seeing, I talked about character, the engineering group were making toys for disabled children.
Yeah.
And one example was a beautiful toy that shone lights and made noises. And they built a button so that somebody who could only use their head and only be in a wheelchair could work with their head. Mm-hmm. That's the kind of thought process that students are doing in engineering.
Yeah. Good point. Okay, so if there are no other comments, I will read the statement. The school board will now recess into executive session for a period of 60 minutes?
60 minutes.
To evaluate the qualifications of an applicant for public employment or to review the performance of a staff member. Pursuant to District Policy 1410 and RCW 42.30.110, this discussion will be closed to the public. The school board is not expected to take final action following the executive session. So, thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll have Kelly join us for a quick moment.